I had a fun day yesterday though. Oh, oh, damn!
It's getting hot in here. Take off.
It's a whole different kind of podcast today. Yeah. I'm a little intimidated all of a sudden.
Let's take off all them clothes.
Anyway, had a fun day yesterday.
Okay.
I had a prostate check.
Oh, nice. You're getting that age.
Yeah.
How'd it go?
It was.
Did you pass?
Yeah, I passed.
Nice.
Although I felt a little bit offended because you felt it, and
Yeah.
it's an experience. It's
Okay.
it's like someone touching your lung from the inside.
I've had that. Well, I've had the joy once.
Yeah, I know. But he said to me, "Oh, it's modest. It's a modest one," and I was like, I don't know. For some reason, I felt offended. It's a modest prostate.
What do you want with prostate? Do you want a large prostate?
No, you don't
I
want a
think
large
is
prostate.
too big.
I
It's
just want a
bad.
normal one. Modest is like, hey, wee fella, you and your wee little.
Okay, he's putting it kindly.
But anyway, it was good.
Okay.
Yeah. No, not the actual prostate check itself.
But the result.
Yeah, it's quite an invasive, definitely an invasive experience.
There's no way around that.
No, there's not. And I really felt like, didn't need to go for a shit beforehand.
But as soon as
he goes in,
triggered something.
Triggered something, and I was like, oh god, I'm gonna take a shit on this guy. And then
Damn.
as he takes it out, then like, holy smokes, it's
Right.
I think a bit of seepage came out, to be honest. But it checked it out afterwards and we were fine.
Okay.
But it felt like I took a shit on it, but I didn't
But
actually.
you didn't actually do it. Okay.
Because I think that's just the feeling I have when like a log-like thing
Something comes out your bum.
Yeah, it feels like I'm taking shit. Anyway.
Next time I work with GP, I'll ask him when I'm due for one, and
We can compare notes.
we can.
First time I had a prostate check, I didn't know it was coming.
Me as well.
And that's terrifying.
Yeah.
Exactly. The worst thing about my one was the guy did it, then he left, and then about 30 seconds later the guy came in and said, "So, I'm Jeff, I'm your urologist." And I was like, who's that guy? Hey!
I think you stole that from somewhere.
I didn't.
I think that's a
Yeah,
joke. That's a
it's
joke from somewhere. I've heard that before.
Have I told you that
Maybe
before?
you've told me that.
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
Okay, rugby.
There was some rugby on the weekend.
Oh. Not as much rugby.
Well, there was as much rugby, but not as much international rugby.
Okay, there was a lot of football.
Well, there was that as well. I haven't watched any of
You
that.
haven't watched any of it, not even the highlights.
I stopped after the highlights of the opening game and haven't gone back to any.
Oh, it's pretty magic.
Is it?
Yeah, it's just like it's not just like the Women's World Cup. It's obviously, but World Cups of any degree.
By osmosis,
They're special.
I have gotten like Japan beat Germany.
Yeah. Saudi Arabia bit Argentina.
They're
That
all
was
getting Rolls
massive.
Royces apparently.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh.
Because
And also-
footballers, if there's anyone who needs a free Rolls Royce, it's
Footballer.
a professional footballer.
And it's also very nice that all the Argentinians are getting a shitload of money as well because they got paid off to lose that game.
Oh,
very
nice.
nice.
Yeah,
That's not
FIFA.
true. FIFA.
Corrupt.
I feel bad because I remember on one of our most recent podcasts, maybe the one before, I went on a big rant about, Qatar and
Right.
all the bodies of the workers and all that, and how terrible it was and how I was feeling ethically.
And now you're sitting
And
here
then-
watching
and
it
then I
going,
was like-
football!
I was like, football time, bring it!
Nice.
Because it's just, the fans are insane. man.
Yeah, rugby. I
It
mean,
doesn't get... It's
Northern Hemisphere fans do all right, but I still think football fans are something else.
It is something else. It really is. And a World Cup is really... It's really something special to kind of behold. We'll get there eventually. Although New Zealand fans...
We're pretty low key.
Yeah, we are low-key. You've been to a few All Whites games?
Never been to an all whites game.
It's good. It's a good vibe. It's a
Okay.
good vibe. I've been down to Wellington, sat there with the White Noise, which is the fan brigade. It's a good time.
Okay. There's an Air Force plane over there.
You can't see it.
No, but it's flying.
We're quite close to Whanuapai Air Base.
It's got the lights on.
Yeah. Oh.
I'm assuming it's a Hercules or an Orion because we don't have many other planes. You're going to hear it in probably a second, I think.
Can you hear that?
You probably can't
Probably
hear it.
can't hear it. I'll put in a plane sound effect.
Meow.
Should I do an effect of a bomb going out there?
How much
Nah,
time do you want to spend
I
editing?
can't be asked. I'm sorry if you're expecting something. Ooh. You might be able to hear that now. There it is.
You can hear that.
Come on. Anyway, let's talk about rugby.
The first game on was Wales and Australia.
Right.
It was a weird game in that Australia
many
have
things
got
were weird.
virtually no players to choose from. They managed to pick 23 guys
Yeah.
to take the field.
Yes.
And Wayne Pivac's at home. Wales, backing up after a pretty shock loss to Georgia.
I picked them to lose, didn't I?
You did.
Yes, I said.
And Wayne Pivac was giving you the middle finger right up until about the last quarter of that game.
I kind of felt for him. Wayne Pivac is actually quite entertaining to watch.
Mm-hmm.
He's not one of those guys in the like one of those coaches in the crowd who's just dead faced.
He wouldn't be a great poker player because
And then I think I saw him mouth at the end. For fuck's sake.
Yeah, exactly.
He was and he was standing up at the end, and you couldn't help but feel for him.
He knows that press conference is coming.
He's in a very. Nothing against the bloke, but these results have been absolutely shocking.
Atrocious, yeah.
Look, I've got to be honest with you. With both of these games over the weekend, I didn't watch them live,
Right.
and I knew the results before going in. And one thing, and I saw, and which is a shame, especially for that Wales game.
Wales one, yeah, for
that would have
sure.
been a great game to watch live. But when I saw the score and I kind of heard what happened, I was thinking to myself, oh, Wales must have just absolutely fallen asleep the last 15 minutes and just taken their foot off the throat and just absolutely shat the bed.
Yeah.
But they were actually still trying to play the game.
They were.
They were trying to attack. They were trying to play positive rugby.
Mm-hmm.
They just it was just kind of like the week before the week before with France with England and New Zealand.
Right.
Sometimes the rugby gods just go, nah. Everything's changes. The cores start going one way. One or two players just go have out of their brains.
Justin Tripperick. Someone made that joke.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness me.
Tough time for him. And it all changed when Rosmini old boy Gareth Anscombe left the field.
Yeah, true.
Yes.
He was doing okay.
Yeah, he was playing pretty well. As soon as he left and Priestland came on, that was the big moment that flipped everything over. There was some sort of strange interception that went to foot. They kicked it ahead. Priestland picked it up, and then he was taken to a 5-meter try, and that was the beginning of the end.
Yeah. Momentum was all with the Aussies.
And when I was watching, I was like, how did they lose this? I was like, because
there's no way. I was watching it live, and I was like, a little bit thinking New Zealand, England the week before, but I was like, nah, Wales can't lose this. Lightning can't strike twice. No, surely not. Surely not.
Rugby, man.
Yeah.
And I think those two teams, it was a great game as well.
For sure.
It was a great game to watch. And boy, oh boy, what a great name. Probably a great name, but boy, Tassi.
Nawani. They were calling him everything else under the sun.
Say it for me again.
Nawani. And I'm not even sure if that's...
Nawani Nawasi.
Nawani is as far as...
Nawani Nawasi.
Yes.
Can I just call him Wasi?
The Q in the Fijian often makes some kind of sound, as far as I'm aware.
He doesn't look like a...
I'm assuming he's got like one Fijian parent, one Caucasian parent, maybe? I don't know. Doesn't really matter.
No, exactly.
He's a good
We
rugby
wouldn't
player.
be asking about that if he was called Smith. Nawatani Sanasi.
Nawanita Wase is
put
my
the
take
spelling
on it.
there. And I looked at it like...
I put him in my team of the week, and I've got like the text for the little boxes that I do. It almost didn't fit.
There's not enough room on the whiteboard.
Yeah. It's a long name.
No, what we
Like,
but no. Oh, it's like a challenge. No, what do need to know? Like I have done a little bit of teaching. You've done a little bit of teaching. You see that kid's name in the role. You're like
nickname time.
Mark.
Yeah, the commentators often, the Aussie commentators often call him Marky Mark, and I don't think that's a coincidence.
No, what do we?
If he's Mark Smith, he's just Smith.
Say it again. Sorry.
Nawani Tawase.
Nawani Tawasi.
There you go.
I think it's harder to spell than it is to
say. Yeah.
Nawani Tawasi. Nawani Tawasi.
Someone will tell us the I'm getting close. I think closer than the commentators got at the weekend. That's for sure.
Maybe, but he was so good,
and he's been good.
I spent all this time just trying to say his name, but my point was, he looked really, really good.
That's the weird thing, because when he got selected to go on tour ahead of your league man Vunivalu, I was like, you seriously taking Mark Nawani instead of Suliasi Vunivalu? Like, come on. Like, because it's Super Rugby, like, Nawani is all right. And then, like, he's a bit of a revolving door on defence. Like, I've seen him miss some pretty bad tackles. Yeah. But, holy shit, the last couple of weeks, man. Great against Ireland, and then even better against Wales.
Class. Yeah. Like, he made his opposite, who was 14 for Wales this week.
Yeah, it was Cuthbert.
He made him look
Bad.
If he made him look like he didn't even belong in some sort of like Heartland Championship.
Yeah.
Like he missed 2 tackles on both of the tries.
Yeah.
Just made him look foolish. He kind of gave me Israel Dag kind of vibes.
Right.
You know, just the way standing tall in the tackle, amazing off both feet, good step, like just a bit of like pomp and arrogance to the way he takes the.
He goes looking for the ball as well. He doesn't just stay out in his wing.
I'd like to see him at fullback. Actually, just that ability to go off both feet. Have the whole thing.
Bit of space.
Is he young? He must be young.
He's pretty young. I think he's in his early 20s.
Yeah. I like the look of him. I really do.
Good prospect. And he's just stepped up to the plate, hey? Some guys can do that. It's bizarre.
Well, and I think that's, you've got to take your hats off to Rennie. Vunivalu didn't make it, and you go, well, he's a freakish athlete.
Yeah, exactly.
He was a very good player for the Melbourne Storm and all that sort of stuff. But sometimes things happen at training. They stand up guys. They look incredibly class, and they train.
And coaches talk about that. Like they'll literally say in the press conference, "No, he's been doing really well in training." And as a fan, you're kind of like, "Well, I didn't see it. That doesn't count.
Exactly.
I didn't see that."
Yeah. 100%.
So, but no, but then again, like as good as Dave Rennie has been at like picking that call, I feel like some of the guys he left on the bench for that Wales game, who maybe should have been starting, showed their class. Like Tate McDermott when he came on, when Noah Lolosio came on. Pete Samu, when all these guys come on, why aren't these guys starting? Pete Samu's been great this year.
He played very well.
The
The guy he replaced, what was this?
Longy Gleeson.
And was he on debut?
First or second game, I think, yeah.
He did a couple of nice things out there. He made that great hit at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
That was very nice.
Set down a marker, right?
Yeah, set down a marker, but it was just so... It really felt like it was a Welsh day. Like they came... feeling embarrassed about the week before, the bit between their teeth. Home ground.
Yeah.
Man, that paddock looks nasty. It looks like just a mud patch.
Surprising.
Mud patch that's spray painted green.
It's usually pretty nice there.
It looks pretty rank to me.
And they were having issues with the roof. They couldn't get the roof closed. There's a crack
strip of rain.
That's like that's an ominous sign where it's like, by the way, Wayne, we can't actually get the roof closed. Like, the rugby gods aren't smiling on us today.
And what do you do as a Welsh fan right now? How are you feeling about your team? Before we get into whether PVAC goes or stays, but even if they, I don't like. Well, I know they love the. Oh, sorry, I'm jumping two things ahead here. But as a Welsh fan, you're just devastated. You just. Do you many Welsh people watch Two Cents Rugby?
There's a fairly big Welsh contingent. They're doing it tough.
They haven't been that vocal for me this year on my channel. So it's the South Africans and the Irish.
They're kind of keeping their heads down a bit because the results haven't been there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right.
Like anytime I'll complain about something going for the All Blacks or the Blues or something, someone will be like, try being a Welsh fan or try being like a Dragons fan in the URC kind of thing.
Sort of like whenever you say anything about a hard caller or something like that in the Rugby World Cup, an Irishman goes, well,
yeah.
Get fucked.
Yeah, basically, you guys don't know World Cup pain, basically, So no, they've been doing it tough.
Doing it very tough.
I mean,
where are they ranked in the world now, Mr. Ranks?
They're 9th.
Ouch.
Yeah, they came into the year 8th and they finished 9th, but they've certainly dropped a few points.
And they have been they were in the top 4, then made the semi-finals in 2011 and in 2019. Did they make it 2015?
Just briefly before the Rugby World Cup in 2019, they went number 1 in the world for like a very short time. For like a week or two, yeah.
But that would have been
that was Gats.
Yeah,
Gats.
Oh, Gats.
He's been in the news. His name's being bandied about as the potential savior.
I just worry about the Chiefs.
Sure you do. I'm sure the Chiefs are keeping you up at night.
Yeah. Why? Like, I don't know. Like, is he really the man who's going to take you forward? Do you think Gatland's going to win your World Cup final? Do you think he's going to get you out of the pools? Is that all you're hoping for?
It'll be a stopgap measure, I think.
What are you looking for? Are you looking for just to get out of the pools? Are you looking to actually win 1 or 2 knockout games at the World Cup? Nudge for a final? Obviously, everybody wants to win it.
Yeah.
But realistically, Warren Gatland is not going to win you the World Cup. He's never won a World Cup. He's never been the All Blacks.
He's gotten close.
Well, he's been the All Blacks with the Lions.
True.
Yeah.
He's gotten close, though.
He's gotten closer than anyone else, really. Oh, has he? I think
A couple of semi-finals with Gats 2011 and 2019.
Very unlucky not to make the final.
Very unlucky.
I don't know what it is about Gats. I just don't like him.
Okay.
I always found him just irritating in press conferences.
Really?
I
don't mind him.
Do you really? What do you like about him? Just says what he's actually thinking, or?
I don't know if he always says what he's thinking. I mean, he plays the media game in like a different way from like an Eddie Jones or a Michael Checker.
Yeah.
I think he's a little bit more subtle. He does a bit of the backhanded stuff.
Yeah.
I think he knows. I think he's a pretty good guy at picking the. I mean, he didn't really do it with the Chiefs, so I might be talking out my backside. But I feel like he's got a knack for looking at his team and going, "This is the way we're going to play," instead of necessarily going, I want to play this way and you guys are going to play my way. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like sometimes Pivac's trying to get his team to play a certain way.
He's trying to fit a square peg into a round hole.
Basically, yeah. Sometimes you just don't have like the players to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it was one thing that Eddie Jones did well when he came to England initially. He was like, okay, well, we're not going to reinvent the wheel here. We're actually just going to play the best English rugby.
That's right. That's famously what Rassie Erasmus did with South Africa as well. Like under Alistair Coetzee, they were trying to chuck it around a bit, and he's like, screw that.
Yeah.
We're going South African DNA. We're going what these guys have been brought up with since, when they were playing on, in bare feet. So
boring the shit out of all of us.
That might be a topic for a video. Are South Africa playing boring rugby? I've got some stats, but we'll get to some stats.
I love the stats.
Love the stats.
Love a stat.
But is Pivac gonna go? He's been defiant in his press conferences.
Well, I think I don't think Gatland's the solution. I don't think Pivac is
Razor.
Yeah, I would love to see Razor as the All Black coach, to be honest with you. And I think every week I'm coming on here saying someone else needs to be fired.
Yes. You just want everyone to get the sack.
Burn them all. But I don't think that Pivac has done enough to retain his job. Right. It's untenable, sadly, and it's the nature of professional sport. You don't get results. You keep on slipping. Where did they start this year in the world rankings, and where did they finish?
They finished 9th.
So
they dropped a few points though. Like,
so they
sometimes that ranking's a little bit off, and that like they may have only dropped one spot, but they're now to put it one way, they're closer to Japan than they are to like Argentina, who's the next team ahead of them. So rather than like being 8th and kind of keeping up with that chasing pack, they're actually kind of closer to what you would consider like a third.
You can be 8th and you can get a couple of wins a year, lose to most of those teams above you, and you're still going to be there because you're meant to be down there. 8th is a long way down.
Basically, at the moment, there's a few blocks. There's like I think the top 4, like for New Zealand, South Africa, like 3 and 4, and Ireland and France are 1 and 2. That block's kind of tightish, and then there's a gap to England, like England, Scotland, and Australia, and those guys are all kind of one block. Argentina, and then there's the next block, which is Wales, Japan. They're slipping towards that kind of.
And Wales, with their resources, the passion of that nation, the talent of that nation. Oh, your namesake Morgan.
Oh, Jack Morgan.
He's a bloody good player.
Wales have got good loose forwards, no matter what happens.
He was best on park for the majority of that game.
Yeah, exactly.
Very, very. Him and Tussie were very, very. They were my players of the game.
Mark and Jack.
Yeah, Mark and Mark and Jack.
Yeah.
Well, no, yeah. So, no, I liked the look of that, man. And if they can get more blood like that in the team, I'm not a huge. There was one. Who's the name? I'm just spending most of this time asking you names of players. Sure. I apologise. I think that represents the common man. And that's what I'm trying to do. The number 11 for Wales, there's a bit of hype around him.
Oh, Dyer. Rio Dyer.
Dyer, I think there were a couple of occasions. Obviously, he's got very nice feet.
Mm-hmm. He's quick.
He's a quick player, but doesn't scream world class to me.
Right.
Like, there were a couple of times he was on the outside. There was one time where he stepped inside a couple of men and he just had to force his way through and over. And I was like, a world class finisher gets it. Do you know the one I'm thinking of?
I think I know the one, yeah.
Yeah. So I don't. Is he good enough for an international team? Is he good enough to be in a world-class side that's going to push at the top level?
I mean, the question you always ask with that kind of situation is this player going to get into, like, France? No. Or is he going to get into the Irish side right now? Probably not. No. I mean, he's still young. He's only a few tests into his career. He's been promising. I still think he's one of the success stories of the November.
That's one of the hard things with being down at that level is you blood players way too early, and you almost... instead of breeding them into it, getting them through, 20 minutes here, 10 minutes here, getting into the squad, being in the environment for a while. They're just like on, all right,
chuck him in.
Go win us again, which some players just live up. He didn't do anything terribly.
No, he was solid. He had a try. I think he set up one try. But yeah, like you said.
How did they lose that game?
I don't know.
It's just bananas.
Part of me wants to be like, well, Wales were without a few of their guys playing the Premiership. But then when you look at the Aussie injury list, you're like, you can't use that as an excuse. This was like, I think Aussie literally had 25 players available. Like, that's it.
How could they...
How do you even field a team?
Yeah. Like, a couple of players go down, during the week.
Yeah, exactly. They must have just not trained. Just be like, right, guys, just sit in the hotel and don't get injured. Up,
like, the Randwick Rangers in the weekend if someone went down.
Just look for any Australians who are in the UK.
Head down to the walkabout.
Tonga did that, remember, during COVID when they played the All Blacks. They were just, like, calling around, who's Tongan? Yeah, literally.
You got any decent Tongan players in the Nessie Rugby Club?
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. And then they got beaten by 100 points.
They did. That was pretty bad.
Rough. No, well, look.
Good way for Dave Rennie to finish the year. Bit of a bright spot. I want to have a look before the end of the year just how many players the Aussies used. I'm sure they must have used more than everybody else.
A record?
It'd have to be close.
Maybe.
They used a lot of players.
So, I think that Australia still retain the title of best shit team in the world. Right. Best shit team in the world. The awards event is next weekend.
Could you see Australia winning the World Cup?
As mad as it sounds,
they could pull off like 3 big wins in a row, kind of thing.
They could. They could beat anyone on the day. Like
same thing with Wales, or no?
No, I don't think. I think the Wales are just mentally shot. I don't think they've quite got the cattle to be able to pull that off right now. I don't think they're going to have the time under a world class coach to be able to be able to put those systems in place, have the combinations in place within the players, have that trust within the team to be able to do that. But you could almost say all those things about Australia, but for some weird reason, maybe it's part of being a New Zealander that it's always bred into us to fear Australia,
just in case,
because they've got up and they've shit on us a number of times.
It's been a few times because we've had the wood over them pretty handily in recent years, but there's every now and again where we're like 15-point favourites, even just more recently than that. We'll go there, like they smashed us in Perth that year when Scotty Barrett got a red card. It was like nobody saw that coming.
Raynell won us a game this year, which they could.
That's right.
Very easily won.
Yeah.
I just think about when I grew up was, watching John Eales get that kick at the end of that kick. 91 World Cup, they absolutely pooped on us. 2003 World Cup, they pooped on us. Even the 2015 World Cup final. I remember Martin Nono scoring the beginning of that second half from the beautiful offload from Sonny Bill. And I remember thinking to myself, maybe I can breathe. Right. Maybe I can breathe.
And Ben Smith gets yellow carded.
And then they go bang, bang.
You're like, no.
And then it was like 4 points in it. And I was just... Oh God! I almost gave myself a prostate check.
Yeah,
and it was that was just like heart palpitations for about a good 12 minutes. And, and that was not a pleasurable experience.
No. Made for a great game.
Yeah, a great game and an absolute walk in the park. And compared to the 2011 stress levels, which was just next level horrible.
Yeah,
but
2015 was very satisfying.
But then if you look at the fact that I felt like they were very unlucky not to win over France. Very, very unlucky.
They got very close to Ireland as well.
Very close to Ireland. There's number 1 and 2. And they almost bet us. They were very unlucky not to. So that's 1, 2, and 3.
If you flip those 3 results on their head, Australia's had a great season.
Yes.
Phenomenal. Despite the loss to Italy.
And with all those injuries.
Yeah, exactly.
So all those injuries, come right. It's kind of a different team at that stage. They've unearthed, no one to need to know Swazi, and they've unearthed that, which is a huge result.
Yeah, for sure.
Even if you lose a game to unearth that sort of talent, maybe we're overhyping him.
He's had a good run. Yeah, he's had a good few weeks. Run,
But then if they can get, I know it's a simple thing, but if they can stop neck rolling people,
stop giving away 14 penalties a game. It was 13 at the weekend.
They had 2 men off at one stage.
Both sides did.
Just incredible. What a weird team to watch at the moment. Like, absolutely depleted of stocks, and then they go out there and go, "How do we make this harder
on ourselves?" Yeah, exactly.
And then they have the discipline, of just
If you're Dave Rennie, you've got to be running like Wednesday's training. Right, we're practicing with 14, then we're practicing with 13. Like you have to
with 12. Yeah. Holy shit!
A lot of those guys probably played a bit of league back in the day.
Yeah,
so
13 aside. Well, that doesn't help. Unfortunately, the old shoulder charge and stuff like that.
Maybe that's why they're...
What do you think of... when we were playing rugby or when we were at school, they used to call it the grass cutter.
Oh, yeah.
Which is basically... What are they called? It's cannonball now, yeah? Or,
yeah,
no,
they still call it a grass cutter. Where you go in basically level to the ground.
Just basically turn yourself into a missile, kind of
try to take someone's legs out.
And just take them out from underneath.
Pretty
I'm
nasty.
seeing a wee bit of that recently. Seeing the English do that a little bit. Did it to us, and I think they did it to South Africa on the weekend.
That's a good way to get yourself...
But before we move on to that team, who is the official... I'm going to just move it a little bit in the middle. Who is the... It always goes well when I tutu with this during the podcast. Who is the Welsh coach for the Rugby World Cup in 2023? Drum roll, please.
Wayne Pivac. He gets retained. They do a review.
Yeah.
He brings out the master plan. He's got all the excuses in the book, and
he fozzies it.
He looks back. Yeah, exactly. Maybe they fire all his assistant coaches.
Of Gethin Jenkins and
Stephen Jones,
two Welsh legends.
Yeah.
I saw Stephen Jones just really give it some when they scored a try.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why? Who do you reckon?
Who do I reckon? I think they've had enough. So I think Pivac goes, and I think Gatlin comes in, and they get to the quarterfinals, and they go, okay, well, that's the best.
At least we made it up the pool.
Yeah.
That would have been embarrassing if we'd not.
Yeah. Or, I don't know. Who knows what the heck could happen. If you're a Welsh fan and you're watching this and you guys end up winning the World Cup, by all means, give me a ton of shit, and I will happily take it.
You'd love to see Wales.
I would love to see the Welsh do bloody well. I loved it when they did well in 2011. I would have really enjoyed to beat them in the World Cup final in 2011. I really would have, much more than I would have liked to play the French.
The French, yeah.
Yeah, like they're my third international team behind. I kind of have a soft spot for all the island teams. I like to see them win.
Right.
I think everyone just likes an underdog, but I just really enjoy watching, Samoa, Tonga, and Fiji.
Yeah.
But Ireland and then Wales.
New Zealand first.
New Zealand first. Yeah.
Go Winston.
It took me a half a second. Winston Peters is a elderly, aging, right-wing
politician from a party called New Zealand First,
who only gets relevancy at every election once every 3 years because he becomes a swing vote.
Yeah.
And then he just plays the media for 6 weeks, just going, "Who knows what I'm gonna do?"
He's the like when you look up politician, slimy politician in the dictionary, there's a picture of this guy.
But he's hilarious.
He's hilarious.
Yeah.
He knows the game.
He's our Trump.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, but not much.
Yeah, he's probably about the same age, I guess.
Winston Peters.
Yeah. My dad actually saw him play rugby back in the day, and he said he was the dirtiest freaking player. Does not surprise you one bit, does it?
He's slumball.
There you go.
I've heard from people who have met him said he loves a drink. Right. Absolutely loves a drink.
That does not surprise me at all.
A hilarious bugger.
Yeah, he's very quick-witted.
Yeah.
There was other rugby on.
Was it?
South Africa...
I forgot how to drink.
Played the old foe, the English. I get the feeling South African fans just quietly enjoy a wee win over the English.
What gives you that idea?
Just the response in the comments, like very satisfied. Not like.
Yeah, where did this sort of intense? They won the World Cup against.
I think it's just a colonial thing. All the colonial countries, like we like beating the English. The Aussies like beating the English.
The Afrikaans and the English have had.
I think so. I think they're probably even maybe more so with that history. So yeah.
Everybody likes getting one over. I
mean, the Welsh do, the Irish do. Everyone wants to beat the English.
We do as well.
Yeah, exactly. So. But yeah, I feel like they were pretty satisfied. They were pretty dominant.
Yeah, they were. They were. Hats off to them. They definitely deserved to win that game, and they played really well. Very good South African rugby.
Kurt Lee Aronson.
Oh, that was a
God.
sweet little one.
That guy.
Yeah, he's
just
quality.
like you see, Colby was like that a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
You see Colby get the ball, you're like, you just got the edge of your seat. Now it's Aronson.
What is he, like freaking 50 kilos?
He's tiny.
I don't know. He's probably bigger than, obviously bigger than 50 kilos, but he looks like a boy out there.
He does.
But he is immense.
He made Marcus Smith look absolutely ridiculous. That's embarrassing.
It was. I thought Marcus Smith was poor the whole game, to be honest with you.
There's memes about that now.
But I've never seen a defender look so flat-footed and look so foolish.
That's right.
Have I?
I mean, the joke is that Colby did a similar thing to Farrell in the World Cup final. And now the joke is at least like Farrell can say to Marcus Smith, well, at least I got one hand on him.
I saw the meme of the hanging from the... you seen that? There was a Western that came out a few years ago with... it's much easier to look at the meme rather than me explain to you.
Right.
Meme! Yeah, there you go. Meme time. Now I've got to find that meme. Bloody hell.
Yeah, that's out.
But yeah, I thought he was poor. I thought the whole English squad, the team was pretty...
It's hard when your forward pack's on the back foot.
Yeah.
For South African scrum.
Oh.
He looks like a guy who should be at the pub watching the game.
He does.
But he's a unit.
He does.
He's such a unit. I love that guy.
Speaking of great South Africans, one of my favourite comments from last week was... because I mentioned how I thought, there was a bit over the board Russie going against the refs and stuff. Somebody wrote... I love how he wrote something along the lines of, I love how the guy who looks like he's been drinking all day. I think he was talking about me. Was advocating for New Zealanders to call death threats. And I was like, I have no idea how he got to that.
Where's the logic?
Yeah, I don't know how he got to that, but I'm sure there was some sort of logical line that he followed. But I was like, I just appreciate the fact he was the guy who looked like he was drinking all day. And that's kind of that Malhalba look.
Yeah.
But him and the Ginger Cock are pretty...
The Ginger Ninja.
Yeah, they're pretty immense players, aren't
they? Yeah, I mean, Malhalba's a weird one because I love my stats. Yes. He doesn't get through a lot of, like, on the ball stuff. Like, he's not a big ball carrier. He does make some tackles. I think he made like 9 at the weekend, which is pretty solid for a prop, but it's by no means the most you'll ever see. But geez, he can scrum. And he just cleans out like a guy who just loves smashing into other humans.
What else do you want?
Exactly.
Look, everything else is a little bonus if you can.
With a prop, basically.
But if you can be a prop and be the best in the world at those call rolls, like, you are an absolute joy for
people have started keeping stats on him in like a kind of like reverse penalty thing. Like, how many penalties has he forced upon the opposition at scrum time? And how many like points has South Africa directly been able to benefit from his scrummaging? And it's a lot. That should be a regular stat.
That should be a regular stat because that's their bread and butter.
That's like, give the props some credit. Like, if you could have that stat in front of all those like World Rugby Player of the Year awards, like, props would get some more love.
Yeah.
Because 100%. Like the goal kickers get all the plaudits, but like often it's the boys up front doing it for them.
Because that gets so many scoring opportunities and also
field position,
3-pointers, and it's a massive thing. Like, there's nothing more frustrating than having an electric backline, having some great loosies. But just and as a New Zealand
anytime
fan,
the ball gets knocked on, you're like, oh god, we're about to give away a penalty.
Yeah, 100%. And that was kind of like the World Cup final with England, New Zealand, the women's game.
Right.
Like, anytime we went to a set piece,
you're like, oh god,
you're like,
here it comes.
Geez. And the penalties, the incredible maul they had, they were basically like 5-point penalties.
Basically, yeah.
And it was immensely painful.
Yeah.
But hey, that's rugby, isn't it?
It is.
Rugby.
Well, you gotta love it. A big unit like Frans Malherbe can be an elite world-class athlete.
Yeah. It's a South Africa game, so you can't talk about a South Africa game without talking about the referee.
I thought he was pretty good. Even Gaza, because I did a live stream, Gaza sent me a halftime report. And Gaza always gives me a rating of the refs.
Yes.
And he'll be like, this referee was absolute dog balls. It was like 11 out of 20. And then he'll say, the referee's doing all right, don't like some of these calls. 12 out of 20. I think Angus Gardner, he said... I think he's doing all right, 14 out of 20.
I love it how his gauge is 20. And he also said one of my favourite things I've heard on the internet, so I heard it on the internet, was he was talking about, was it not Raynal, it was the game against England, was it the game against England, or it was a French ref, who must have been Raynal.
Right.
And he said, it was terrible, another Frenchman, you know what, he can f*** himself in France.
I don't remember that.
Cracks me up so much.
He's got some good one-liners, doesn't he? Oh, jeez.
No, but I thought he was very good, but I noticed how that the South Africans are very good at pointing out like little inconsistencies in the referee. I thought it was interesting how it must have just been an oversight. They didn't actually manage to point out the Ep11 try with him actually lying in an offside position, picking up the ball from a knock on to scoring that try. Just somehow they managed to overlook that one. I thought that was...
Sure, the TMO checked it and cleared it.
Yeah, I'm sure he did. But that was a little bit...
Right.
It was on the field, there was no clear evidence to overturn it, basically.
I thought
it was a 50-50 call.
I thought the same with the...
I would have been fine with it with anybody.
There was the try from the kick return. England kicked it to Willemse, and then they get it to Arendse, right? That one's a beauty. But to be honest, I thought, just briefly, maybe not so conspicuous that you blow it up, but I did think... The South African, I think it was Arendse was kind of tracking back, and I did think he kind of slightly moved in the way of Stewart, who was going for Willemse, but it was like it was subtle.
But
it's one that if you've got your like one-eyed hat on, you can go obstruction, ref.
Yeah,
but it's not one that I would like that needs to be blown up. Like that's the kind of thing I would rather benefit of the doubt to the team that's just done something amazing.
But also, if I saw an opposing fan go, "Wow, why did they miss that obstruction? A clear obstruction. That's the rules." I could go, "Well."
Yeah, I can see your point of view, but
that was such a lovely try.
It was beautiful.
Just one of the tries of the year.
Exactly.
You know, and this is one of the things that kind of irritates me a little bit about watching South Africa play. Their style of play is brilliant. Obviously, it's a winning style of play, although this wasn't the most successful tour in the world for them. But it's a big game style of play. It's a tournament style of play. Like, they've got some incredible attacking threats. Some incredible athletes out there. Like, I didn't see... Who was playing 13 this week? Like...
Creel. He's anonymous, eh?
Didn't see him pass the ball.
Same with Linda doesn't pass it much either.
I didn't see any like real... Like, that was like broken play from a kick. Just a little bit of freakish talent. But I didn't really see any sort of sweeping backline moves or anything like that, which, you know, I love to see. Maybe it's not quite in what they want to do. Like... Incredible pack, incredible physicality, did everything right, didn't give England an inch, so who am I to criticise? But just in terms of the athletes and the speed and the ability and the footwork that these players have, I'd love to see them with the ball in their hand and a little bit more space, rather than just the odd time where the ball just happens to go their way. You know? So, sorry, got a little gas here, but I don't know, but that's not going to change though, is it? Under Rassie Erasmus and Nina Bar.
I do feel, I mean, maybe I have to look at the stats, but I do feel like South Africa is kicking it a bit less than last year. But they've also got this weird thing going on when Pollard's not playing. Because they play Willemse at 10, who's not really like a traditional 10. He's a bit of a utility. He's played fullback, he's played 12.
I like the look of him. I know
he's good, but it's like, if you look at any 10, pretty much, like if you look at the numbers, they're going to be doing a fair bit of passing.
Yeah.
And then they'll be doing a fair bit of kicking from hand.
Yeah.
And they'll be running it occasionally. Whereas his numbers are skewed. He loves running it. He just wants to run it because that's his DNA.
Yeah.
Whereas he passes... I mean, I have to look at his stats for the year, but he passes less. And then you get LaRue, who often comes in at first receiver. So they've got this weird, like just unconventional backline when Pollard's not there, where LaRue has to come in and be more of the kind of sometimes first receiver. It's different.
I felt like they had more potency taking on the line where the Willemse are there.
Willemse is great for that.
And I thought...
He gets criticised for not unlocking the guys outside him at times because he wants to look for the gap himself because that's what his DNA is.
Yeah, but you've got to be able to. You're at your most. One of the best things you can do as an attacker, not that I'm obviously a top level rugby player or anything like that, but is looking like you're going to take on the gap. Taking on the gap a number of times in the game, drawing in defenders they go, this guy's a real threat. And at the moment when they're really pinched in on you, where they've identified that...
That's when you pass it.
That's when you let the ball go, and that's when the space is there, and that's when you've actually, played the game of chess a little bit be able to get them to preempt your move. It's like, fighting and doing a bunch of feints.
Yeah, eventually you hit them with something else. Yeah, exactly. For sure.
And when they're not ready for it, when they're reacting to something else.
Yeah.
So I like the look of him, and Aronson looks great.
Yeah.
When's Colby on the horizon?
Yeah, well, he got injured in the previous game doing that try scoring jump, so I don't know. But I mean, there's a while ago that I was like, if Colby's not in the team, they don't look as potent. But now with Aronson, I was like, no, they're fine.
And was Moody?
He came off the bench. I think he got a bit of a cameo. He didn't get much game time on tour, which is disappointing because you like the look of him, don't you?
I do. Yeah, I do. He's somebody I think we're going to be talking about for a few years to come.
He's got the height as well and aerial ability, which could offer something different from Aronson. Aronson jumps for the high balls as well, but he's just not as big. That's just, that's just a thing. What do you think about England?
Quite frustrating. It must be immense. Well, I'm not an England fan or anything like that. My heart doesn't bleed to watch them lose or anything along those lines. But it must be immensely frustrating to see how good they played for those 10 minutes against the All Blacks, where they looked like they were just playing some real good, positive rugby. Looking to take on the line, looking like they had real physicality, real attacking threats all over the park, and looking like a world-class team. Yeah. And looking like a team that has a bit of character and heart. To see them the following week have none of those things.
No, it's just damn squid.
Just an absolute, they were just there to make up the numbers. I don't know what the hell they were really doing. I'm struggling to think of many moments in the game where you were like, oh, that was good. Just someone doing a good run or somebody. It was just very, very poor. And it made for a pretty boring kind of game, how poor they were. The South Africans did what they did well, and I was trying to think about it. I was like, why did they look so good for those 10 minutes against the All Blacks? And I was like, part of it was the All Blacks played really poorly. Yeah. They were down to 14 men. They went super passive. And I was like, well, why did England look like a completely different team for that entire game? They didn't, when they got that red card, they didn't step up a gear. I was like, was one thing. I was like, maybe this is the moment. Yeah, but then I was like, well, you've got to give South Africa credit there.
Far out. The All Blacks need to be watching that tape back and going, this is how you close out a game with a man down, because they fronted up big time. They still, I mean, they conceded one try. Yeah. When the English took quick tap, wanted to keep the thing moving. Which is, you'd say, if you get I think we talked about it, right? 7 points is about how many you concede with a card. That's how many they conceded.
I think if you concede anything under 10 points, you got to say that's subpar. Yeah. Right, you're gonna concede points when you get a man off the bin, and then the guy a man on the bin, and he was gone for 20 minutes.
That's right.
So it could have been a big moment, but then they lost more men, didn't they? If they had Tipperick off, and didn't they lose 2 men as well? Shit. I'm talking about
England lost.
Yeah, did they lose anyone?
Did England lose anybody in that game? South Africa lost to Toy, the prop, to the red card. So yeah, I think
not a good year for Tutoits.
No.
Yeah, Steve Tutoit got a red
card the week before. Yeah. So
it was a clear red. One of the things
that was a pretty bad red.
That was a really nasty one. One of the things I like about watching the South African commentators are they're very, very one-sided and biased the way they call the game and stuff like that. But whenever there's a red card moment against their team where it's just clear, it gets absolute radio silence. Right. It just goes very quiet in the call. You know that South Africa's done something wrong. But the way they fronted up from that position... It's amazing. Because I thought, okay, here we go.
I was watching it live. I didn't know the result, man. I was like, this is like deja vu from the week before. England are behind. They're going to get the man advantage. They're going to just start tearing South Africa a new one. And no.
Nothing.
South Africa was just shutting the door.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even just for England, it's uncharacteristic. Freddie Stewart, who made World Rugby's Dream Team of the Year. Yeah. Because he is just so safe under that high ball. He's dropping balls. Not all of them, but just uncharacteristic. Just, I don't know what was going on with him.
It looked like, I know that everybody talks about Eddie, how he's some sort of mastermind and he's holding things back and I don't know, he's got
saving everything for the World Cup.
He's got something in his closet that's going to come out and
he plans for the 3-year cycle. His team's going to peak next year.
Yeah, but to me it just looked like a team that, Eddie's known to piss people off, to push people too far and to, lose squads. He coached the Queensland Reds to one of their worst ever Super Rugby years, many, many moons ago, after he got dropped from Australia. And that's when he got put on, from there
to
Japan, he doled around there for a little bit, won that incredible game in Brighton, and then obviously England, yada yada yada. But he, from that Queensland, he looked like one of the worst coaches in not in the world, but like top level. He just couldn't win a game that year at Super Rugby level.
That's right.
Similar to Warren Gatland, who can't win a game at Super Rugby level. But for whatever reason, I think he's one of those guys that has a lot of bark to him. It has a lot of bite and punch. So when he comes in, he commands attention. He gets, come on the f***ing bus with me, boys, or else you're out, or that sort of stuff. So they get in, they have a great start. Yeah. And then there's 5 years later now, and they're just like, piss off. Yeah. I could be, it's just total speculation.
I feel like that's been talked about before, where Eddie has like the initial kind of galvanizing effect. Like I think when he first came to England after Lancaster got the ass. Yeah. Like England, I think then the next year went on to win the Six Nations. I can't remember if they got a Grand Slam. Yeah. But like they suddenly went on this big run, and then
they went to Australia.
That's right, and they won all the games.
And Australia were
just coming off a World Cup final, so Cheika was doing all right. Then couldn't win against Eddie. That's right.
Was Coach of the Year the year before.
And then I think Eddie, after initially kind of galvanizing that squad, gave a few guys like the flick, like Mike Brown had been like fullback for every game, and then he was just like, nah, you're gone. He dropped a few of the big guns, brings in some fresh blood to keep that kind of, like you say, like the guys are fresh and like, oh yeah, we're going to do this for the coach. But you think he's the kind of guy that if you have him for too long, you're just like, far out, I can't take this shit.
Yeah, exactly. Anymore. You're yelling at us constantly. They say, they often talk about this in the NRL, but I'm sure it's the same across all sports, is that good coaches have like 2 sprays in them a year. Right. Where like after a shitty performance, they get into the sheds and they can just be absolutely rattled at. Right. You can tell that basically that's not the performance of a professional athlete. Yeah. You should be ashamed. You say whatever the heck you want to say. Yeah. But really go at them. And for 2 times a year, that's going to give you a good result. Right. If it goes any more than that,
you just switch off. They're
just like, guy's just fucking yelling
John Kerwin, remember they used to have the cameras in the dressing rooms for locker rooms or whatever for Super Rugby? Yeah. John Kerwin, he was coach of the Blues. He would always be giving them a spray. Yeah. And it's just like, I mean, if it's like you're seeing a kid that always gets yelled at by their parents, they just get accustomed to it, absolutely. Right? It's just the same 100%,
logic. 100%.
So, I don't know. Yeah. Maybe they're getting sick of Eddie. Or maybe he's going to pull something out of his backside next year. I could legit see both things happening.
Could happen.
They've got a pretty decent run, England. They got a good side of the draw.
Well, anybody who's not on our side of the draw has got a good side of the draw.
Yeah. Wales, weird. England.
Yeah. Wales, England, Australia.
Yep. Good side of the draw. Argentina, Japan.
Yeah. I wonder how Japan's going to go next year. That's or could almost lead us into what it's going to be a spectacular next week. A spectacular event. It's not just a podcast, it's an award ceremony.
Oh yes.
Yes. Yeah, would you like to tell them about it now? I'm putting you on the spot as to what it is. It's
what awards are we actually going to do is the question.
Yeah, that's the thing. So we need your help basically. So it is the first annual 2 Cents Gets Distracted International Rugby Awards. It's a very glitzy event. I plan on wearing arseless chaps.
Right.
Yeah, and nothing
for the occasion.
That's what I'm going to be wearing, and we might just pixelate the entirety of me for that.
I'll be wearing sunglasses.
Taped over. She's taped over. Yeah. But yes.
But one of your ideas is like the best shit team, right?
Best shit team.
And your nominee for that one would be Australia.
Yeah, best shit team, definitely Australia. So we could talk about some ideas now, but we'd love your ideas for even categories, but we may come up with some nominees right now. I think definitely we need to have best big unit.
Okay.
Best big unit. I will come up with 1 nomination each right now. Okay. I want to come up, can't remember her name. The
Fijian prop.
The Fijian number 3 prop from the women's Fijiana squad. She was a bloody good big unit, that one.
True.
Yeah. Fabulous. I'm sorry, I can't remember her name. It's right there. And that's her face. Who have we got your nomination for best big? I
can only have one big unit.
But we'll take some other ones and then we'll...
I mean, we've just been talking about Franz Malherbe. He's a big unit. Yeah. Taniela Tupou is a big unit, but I don't feel like he's had his best big unit year. Likewise, Will Skelton. Do we have any real big units here in NZ? We don't really do the big units anymore, do we?
Who was our last big, massive man? Well, they're all big.
Yeah.
They're all big buggers. Like you see, I've seen them in the flesh, and you feel
They're certainly larger on in real life than on TV.
Yeah, I went to school with Anthony Burge.
Right. Who's not even like,
not
I don't mean to throw any shade at that guy, because he's obviously more of a world-class athlete than I can even dream of being.
How many World Cup medals have you
got?
got?
Yeah, exactly. But like, he's not going to be in anyone's conversation for like the greatest.
Oh, absolutely not.
Yeah.
But he was
a huge human.
Huge human. And I remember when he was actually playing, I was with my friend and he came round to one of our mates' houses who was a flat, and my mate said to him, Anthony, man, like he had no fat on him. He was like, you look like a dolphin. Like just like everything was just like chiseled and cut and not really human. So you tell us your favorite big units out there, and we might put them in the hat. Like to nominate a Tiny Tim as well. Your best Tiny Tim.
Tiny Tim is in a small player.
A small player. I'm gonna say on the female side, I'm gonna put in. Ruby Tui. Ruby Tui is small, but is she small for the women's game?
I don't think she's particularly small.
Cox edge?
I mean, she's a halfback.
Yeah, it's a bit of a cheat. I think we need to find a female smallie.
Okay.
I'm gonna go. Okay, there'll be a female in that. And who have you got?
Curly Aronson?
He's a good little Tiny Tim.
Yeah, he's not the biggest guy.
No, he's not. He's not the giantest human. Any good New Zealand players, Karen? Oh, I keep going on about the New Zealand players.
Can you go with like best ginger, or is that somehow like discriminatory?
No, I love it.
You got like Stephen Kitsoff, you got Finlay Christie, you got Tom Robinson from the Blues. Like, there's a few good gingers.
Got the cock. Isn't he? Isn't that guy? Oh no, I'm thinking of the guy who's got
Kitsoff is the one you're thinking of. Stephen Kitsoff. He's probably my pick.
Cock is the guy who looks like...
Cock's a blondie.
Yeah, he looks like he's from The Incredibles, doesn't he?
Yes, that's right. No, you're right. You're right.
And him and Sam Cane look remarkably similar.
I suppose so. Brother from Another Mother movie.
Yeah. They look like that milkman got to South Africa and New Zealand.
Doing the rounds.
Mark, you would...
It's quite the milk run. Best like underrated, like who's your player that doesn't get talked up?
Best sneaky?
Yeah. Player that doesn't get talked up, but you're like, that player's class.
It's about me in my mind went straight to actually this is a better one, but my mind went straight to Wilkerson Dua.
Why?
Because I always thought he was brilliant,
right? And
he never got the love.
Okay.
But mine's gonna be
Shooter. No, not Shooter. Underrated.
Shooter is
Stevenson. Sean Stevenson.
And doesn't get the love.
I would like to love that guy, but the celebration I can't do it. Has he seen Happy Gilmore? Does he know how douchey that looks?
He eats pieces of shit like you for breakfast, man.
You eat shit for breakfast? Come on, man. I know he's probably too young to have seen that, but...
Shooter McGavin.
Shooter McGavin, I think he's on like those, there's those, you can buy someone to like send a little video, like a little customized video, like happy birthday to your friend or something. Like you can do that with celebrities nowadays. Like I did it for Gazza with Ben O'Keefe.
So yeah, I've seen that. So I could pay him enough money
to send Sean Stevenson up there. Good try, Shooter!
I just want to send him something to you and just him say, Mark, I eat pieces of shit like you for breakfast. If you were born post 1995, you
got no idea what we're talking about. It's an Adam Sandler movie.
Happy Gilmore. Great film.
A really good film.
Yeah.
Go back and watch that.
Yeah, watch it. So he's my Smokey. Tom Robinson is one of my guys who gets irritated. I get irritated he hasn't played a test for anybody.
Right.
Some sort of Viking. Maybe the Irish can get him. He can move to Ireland and kill it over there, I reckon. Yeah, he looks Irish.
Oh,
he's a ginger. He could be
your little player that you wanted.
Yes.
Darcy Graham. Finally got there for Scotland. He's been amazing.
Yeah, he has been very good.
He's got the power. Like people called him like a discount Cheslin Colby, basically, like as a joke. But now it's like not even a joke. It's like he's kind of out Colby and Colby. I mean, Colby's had some injuries, but Man, Darcy Graham's been good this year.
Who is your overrated? And maybe we just keep it positive. We don't go
Yeah.
overrated, but because it's only so many times you can say Marcus Smith.
Who?
Actually, Marcus Smith is very good. He just had a bad.
Who's the player that you think cops the most grief? Like I think Sam Cane in New Zealand cops an awful amount of stick, because they always compare him to like Adi Savia.
Yeah, it definitely is.
Easy players to kind of hate on. Like, every country seems to have a player that everyone, like the coach loves them, but everyone's like, why they keep picking this guy? They need to drop this guy. The Ruben Thorne Award.
The Ruben Thorne Award. Ruben Thorne. Yeah, definitely Sam Cane in New Zealand. Who would be the Australian one?
I know people don't like Ned Hannigan, although he's only just made his way back into. I don't like him. He's shit.
No.
He's alright at line-out time. I thought he's a bit of a softie.
Okay. What about? So that's it. So by the way,
when I say a player is shit, he would still eat me for breakfast.
Yes.
Eat a piece of shit like me for breakfast. Just FYI. Like even a terrible rugby player we're talking about is still an extraordinary rugby player.
Yes. If you've played a test, you've done something incredible.
Did I tell you about seeing that Blues halfback at a club game?
Which
Jonathan Ruru.
Oh, right, and he just carved up.
At the Blues level, he looks a bit stink. He doesn't look like a very good player. I saw him play club rugby, which is against amateur players, and he was just he looked enormous because he's training as his full-time job as a rugby player, and he was just carving them up.
Yeah,
like it's one of those weird ones where context is like everything.
100%.
Yeah,
100%. Like there are all those videos of like over the hill. NBA players who people try and challenge them, and like guys who are like forwards and stuff, not forward like big men and stuff, and they just get absolutely skill wise.
Yeah, I've seen retired like NHL hockey players like because they could wear the mask.
Yeah,
they'll like put on a beard or something and like just pretend to be some old guy, and then they'll just like flog them.
Absolutely destroyed.
Yeah,
there is something different about somebody who takes their sport incredibly, is naturally talented and talented enough to go, you know what, I could do this for a job.
Yeah.
And then also, incredibly dedicated and trains their butt off. And
that's right. The best have usually got a bit of both.
Yeah, that's right. What was your category we're looking at right now?
Player who gets hate.
Player who gets hate.
The Ruben Thorne.
The Ruben Thorne Award.
So Sam Cane in New Zealand.
You give us your suggestions below.
Oh, in South Africa it used to be Willie LaRue, but he's getting some love now.
Dweber.
Oh, Joseph Dweber.
He's mine.
Yeah, he gets a bit of stick.
Bro, Dweber.
From South African fans, that's true. It's hard when Mbonambi and Mark's the guys ahead of you.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just, again, the context. Like, Dweber is, a big human and probably at a lot of levels looks very good, but at test levels not look the business.
Yeah. I had we'll call it the Darcy Swain Award for biggest
grub.
Biggest grub out there at the moment.
It's hard for New Zealanders to pick anybody but Darcy Swain. Yeah. Johnny Hill from
and
England.
also with the fact you call it the Darcy
Swain Award. Yeah. Maybe call it the Richard Lowe Award.
The old eyes.
Probably Johnny Hill's a bit of a
grub. My video I made a top 10 video on the grubs.
Yeah, got
demonetized. Although
put it up there. It's on my channel, so I'll put it up there.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
But I thought it was because of him. But then I realised the dog gets kicked in the first 30 seconds.
Right, the first 30 seconds is we.
But it was like that thing on Anchorman, like it was clearly a puppet. And I was like, okay.
Abuse.
Anyway.
Johnny Hill, I think. He's a bit of a grub.
Yeah, he got more time on the bin.
He got a reverse penalty.
Yeah, that's right.
It was Curry that got the bin.
And he
threw Faf.
Faf got him, and Faf loved it.
Halfbacks, that's their job. They got to get into the heads of these big guys.
I love the way, just 20 points for the way Faf got up from that. Just very classy. The way he
bounced back,
up.
Literally.
Yeah, exactly. And then he just got up and was like, loved it.
Yeah.
No,
best shit stirrer, maybe that's a good one.
But then to be fair, Hill had it coming because he was getting up Darcy Swain's ass.
Yeah, and the tour of
and he got
Australia.
Darcy Swain red carded for a very
innocuous,
light little
silly, but yeah.
And he was pulling his hair and doing all sorts of nasty crap. This was before the was it Tupaia who got the injury? Yeah. Tupaia cannonball tackle that was ruthless.
That was brutal.
So I actually had a bit of sympathy for Darcy back then, but
not anymore.
Not anymore. That was maybe the worst thing I've seen on a rugby field this year. Okay.
Best ref.
Best ref.
Worst ref. Everyone likes chicken.
Yeah.
I know who my least favorite ref is. I usually generally don't care who the ref is. For the most part, I don't really care.
Who's your least favorite ref?
Mike Adamson.
I don't even know who he is.
He's a Scottish ref. He doesn't get that many big games, but he's got this art of like, he may be technically correct, but the words that come out of his mouth just
doesn't explain himself very well.
He's all over the shop. Yeah.
Is he just a nervous bloke or what?
Maybe. I don't know what it is. He's just very... I feel like he just rolls the dice and this is the order of the words that come out of my mouth. Like, I don't know. Yeah.
You think he might be on the spectrum or something?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. He's
like a Rain Man of referee.
Yeah, kind of.
So it's nothing to do with his calls.
Well, sometimes his calls, I'm just like... With the explanation, I'm like, you and me are like looking at something very different. I very rarely have that. Like, usually I can look at a 50-50 call and go, oh, okay.
So, like,
a
guy's jackling and he's not supporting his body weight. He'll go,
Sunshine unicorns.
Go off the ball, no weight, supporting.
Yeah.
And you go...
Yeah, he might not even say anything about that. It'll just be something random. Yeah, no, he's... I don't think he's up to standard. There's very few reps I would say.
One player I wanted to ask you about was old Harry McCleary.
From Donaldson's Dairy.
Donaldson.
Oh, Ben Donaldson.
Yeah. What is... I don't know much about him. I was like, who's this bloke?
He's played a bit of rugby for the Waratahs.
Didn't seem to particularly light the world on fire.
He likes to kick the ball. That's kind of... I think maybe Dave Rennie put him in the team as like, he's going to kick the shit out of the ball.
Yeah, okay. All right. Okay, more categories. Okay, how many categories have we got there?
We've got a few.
So, please comment below as to... You would have heard what we've just talked about, the various categories: best big unit, best little man, moment of the year, referee of the year. Should we do player of the year? Player of the year?
We could do player of the year.
Player of the year. And also, the more absurd and funny the comment, the more chance we read it out here, and it'll be an interactive episode.
There you go.
Yeah.
I like reading the comments.
Yeah, I like reading some of the comments. To be fair, like as we were saying before, like I had a little bit of a tirade against Rusty Erasmus and some of the toxicity that had come against refs from South African fans. And to be fair to the South Africans, I thought I was going to get a bunch more crap. And I got a few people telling me that they were irritated at me.
Right.
I'm so irritated at you, Tony.
You are an irritating individual.
That's what the ladies tell me. But I didn't. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be. So yeah, I thought I was going to get some death threats. Nah. Not quite that bad. Not quite that bad.
Bri, some rugby.
Yeah, and a big old cack afterwards.
Is it cack or is it cock?
I think it's cock.
Yeah.
With the accent. Yeah. Because I did reference a cuck in one of my South African videos I made. And they were thrilled. All the comments were like, yes, he said cuck. Yes.
I think there's only two words I know in Afrikaans, and it's cuck and liquor.
Liquor.
Oh,
like lick, L-E-K-K-E-R. What does that mean? Like go?
This is great. Good.
Like liquor box. I hear. Do you see that?
I think it just means good. Great.
Good. Car pie.
Liquor, man. Yeah.
Car pie box. Fantastic. Yeah. We got any other rugby to talk about?
I mean, there was the Sharks coach in the URC. He got the sack.
He got absolutely pumped, didn't he?
They got pumped 35-0 by Cardiff. I haven't seen the game. I'm quite certain in my Super Brew pool, I did not see Cardiff without their Welsh players going to South Africa and beating the Sharks, let alone 35-0.
Well, at least
that being said, the Sharks have got a lot of Springboks out.
Is he in the running for the Welsh position once they get rid of Peter?
Oh, yeah, probably. Sean Everett, you heard it here first.
Yeah. That'd be a turn-up.
Yeah, it seems like they got a bit of a changing of the guard. It's weird though. We don't really get much of like the old coach sacking in rugby. It's more of a soccer thing.
Yeah, football's like
because the money is just so massive. It's
you
just
get
like
3 losses on the road. Yeah, your 4th loss. Yeah.
Stephen Gerrard got sacked from Aston Villa a while back. Liverpool legend.
Sad times. It's
I don't really follow the football.
It's a hard. You're not going to watch any football.
I will. Maybe I.
When it gets to knockouts,
hey,
you're going to get.
Do a live stream for some football.
We could do.
I'd have to come over in the morning though.
That's the one thing. It's not the greatest time. Maybe we'll do a final. Basically, we'll do a final. Hopefully they're not going to be on a freaking.
I got demonetized on my own live stream today, so it's not you.
Why? What did you do?
I asked for a review and they said, "Okay, you're fine."
So we could have got a review on the other
Probably.
one. Was it too many F-bombs?
I don't think I even dropped many F-bombs.
So I've said maybe 4
Okay.
in this. I can say again because I'm bleeping them out.
I keep it pretty clean for the
Yeah.
most part. The odd swears here and there on the live streams.
Yeah. Yeah, we did swear a fair bit. And
Yeah, that was a tense
What was
game.
it? Yeah, but I don't think we went wild.
Overboard,
with this.
no, by
Yeah,
no
I
means.
tried to keep my, take
Yeah.
care of my P's and Q's. So what I want to know about, though, is your grandfather's career as a milkman.
Yeah, he was a milkman.
Yeah.
I am led to believe he enjoyed the role. Back in the, would have been what is that, like the 50s? He would have been, generally back in the 50s, I'm led to believe that the man of the house would go to work and the lady of the house would stay home and potentially receive the milk from the milkman.
There's a rumor going around that he was responsible for the baby boom, basically.
I'm led to believe my mother has half siblings.
Oh, floating about.
I believe so.
So you got a lot of half aunties and uncles around the spot, around that.
I don't know.
So
He died when I was 3, so I don't really know him.
that's why.
I know he was
That's
into-
why you went to China, so you wouldn't end up fucking one of your cousins.
I know he
around.
liked his sons because he had like 5 daughters and just kept going for babies. And then he had 2 boys.
All right.
He wanted a boy,
He was chuffed.
and all his daughters' names are like guys' names, like
Yeah.
Leslie, Tony, Terry. Like he was like, I'm having girls, but you're getting a boy, like at least a unisex name.
Here's Phil.
Yeah,
Oh, God.
good times.
All right. Well, that's interesting. I always like to finish with a little bit of
Levity.
Morgan family history.
There you go.
Exactly.
This was not on the Morgan side. This was on the maternal side.
Also, we're probably going to get cut out, but we had an extensive chat about prostate checks at the beginning of this podcast.
We did.
I was just going to use that for the opening line,
Right.
maybe.
Prostate.
But I felt like
first 30 seconds though. You got to be careful with those first 30 seconds.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, not as much rugby to talk about this week, but I think we still talked about rugby.
Good stuff.
That's the main thing.
Yes.
I hope everyone enjoyed that.
I hope you're looking forward to the Six Nations in February next year. There's some early wake up calls.
February. That's just when I feel like thinking about rugby. February. We do
Summer.
Cricket time. Cricket time.
Fuck the cricket.
Love the cricket.
Nah.
Love the cricket.
Too
Love
long.
the football. Love the league. I like too many sports. It's my problem.
Restricted sports.
Oh, that's
Did you
not
see
my life.
Israel Adesanya on Hot Ones?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, he does like 2 days after he'd had a fight as well and just
Yeah,
lost. He's a champ.
He was a real champ. He went to the presser afterwards because one of the classic things that, especially like losing fighters, but particularly like losing champions, they very rarely go to the presser. A lot of the time it's due to medical reasons because they've just been knocked the fuck out.
Right.
And they need to go to the hospital, or
Right.
they might be so battered that they need to go to the hospital and get checked out.
Yeah.
It can be a brutal sport. But yeah, he goes wearing a massive mink coat like a boss, and
Nice.
just sat
He
there
owned
and just lost, and he was winning that damn fight all the way
Right.
through. And yeah, he did Schultz's podcast as well. I think he was on the MMA Hour with Ariel Hawani.
I did not know that one.
He's maybe the best MMA reporter in the world.
Okay.
Ariel Helwani. He's one of my faves, that guy.
Right.
Yeah. If you like Ariel, I saw it when I made some MMA comments.
Someone said like I would
someone
listen to
said,
some
yeah.
UFC. Yeah, I read that
like,
comment.
Should we change it to a UFC podcast? Could be a bit like, it'd be actually very similar to this podcast where you know way more about rugby and the players and stuff, and I ask you questions.
Right.
Whereas you do the opposite for MMA.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Once
You're
it
not that
goes to
interested-
ground, I have no idea what they're doing.
Yeah, when it goes to it gets a bit of jiu-jitsu.
They start
grappling.
talking all these terms. He's got a reverse.
It's got an omoplata.
triangle. Like I got no idea.
Armbar.
I have no idea what's going on.
Well, you can work. Some of it's kind of like an armbar. He's got his arm. Leg lock. He's got his leg.
Yeah.
Like.
Where's that plane again? What are they doing? Stop wasting taxpayers' money.
Yeah, you heard him. You heard him.
What are you doing?
Yeah, well, do you reckon it's quite cool when they send the paratroopers down. You see them when they go. You just see the paratroopers go blop, blop.
We're in New Zealand, for God's sake.
I don't know. They got to do something to keep their funding.
I suppose so.
Yeah, thanks for keeping us safe, fellas.
From
Could be ladies up there. Why am I being so
suppose.
sexist? All right, well, we made another podcast,
We did.
and next week is the big awards evening. So,
Yes.
2 Cents gets distracted. First annual international awards. I feel like I'm gonna have to learn a little bit more about some players to be able to talk about.
I'll hopefully have some stats.
Oh, stats!
End of year stats. I love the end of year stats. It's
Really?
like, whoa, I've got all the end of year stats. I
Like-
can literally go head to head with these players and go, no, that player's not the best player in the world because look at these numbers.
Could you do something where you basically make new teams, essentially just based on stats, where you theoretically put, Franz Malherbe in the same team as Caleb Clark and, put, Harry McCleary at number 10, By the
You
way,
probably could. You
that's-
could probably set some teams up like certain ways, like a great defensive team or whatever.
And then you could simulate those games and it'd be good. It'd be good if if rugby ever had a decent game, video game, where you could kind of make your own
Rugby
teams.
games are a bit shit.
They're always a bit crap. You really enjoyed John Olympic Rugby in
That game was great.
'96.
Yep.
It was like,
It digs like a demented mole there.
what was the other one?
That hit put him in the maternity
No,
reward for.
Oh,
Hope
no.
not, Bill.
That's a
Yeah.
yeah.
I love that game.
What is it? Digs like a
Demented mole.
That
Yeah.
was a weird
It's
one.
a classic one.
It's a Gary Owen. I used to say that. Yeah.
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
pretty much the pinnacle. Rugby 08 maybe, but still.
They're all pretty crap.
Yeah, they're a bit sad.
It's just working out the ruck, that function, like the
There's
breakdown.
too many mini games in rugby. So simulate rugby, you need to have open play. You need to have a way to do rucks. You need to have a way to do mauls. You need to have a way to line outs. You need to
But
scrums.
I don't understand. You look at NFL, and that's a wildly complicated game. Well, it's just there's so much going on with those.
How do you make the ruck a game? Do you make it a button bash? Do you make it a timing thing? Is it fun?
They make these scrums a timing thing, and they make the rucks a button bash. And then they make the open play just a shit fest. Essentially, whereas football just really lends itself to
play
because this is
I'd much rather play a FIFA. Not that I'm really good at it, but I'd rather play
me
FIFA
too.
than any of the rugby games.
me too.
Yeah.
100%. All right. Well, look, we got some Mark Morgan history. We set up the awards evening. We talked in depth about 2 rugby games, which were very interesting games to watch.
They were.
Not great weekends for British rugby.
No, good weekend for the Southern Hemisphere to round things out.
Yeah, it is actually.
Good on you, Australia, South Africa.
I keep trying to say goodbye, but then going, oh, what do you think
Something
about this?
else.
Who's on top? The Northern Hemisphere or the Southern Hemisphere at the end of the year? What are your thoughts? Obviously, France and Ireland.
Yeah,
are
it's such an
the
even split.
heaviest.
South Africa finished the year well, but their tour wasn't great. But the 2 teams that look the business right now are Ireland and France.
So, heads up to you. Italy on the up and up even.
Italy, in world rankings terms, went up, I think, the most of anybody.
Bumper season.
They had a great, not in terms of just positions, because they went up 2
How
spots,
many-
but in terms of their points, they went up 5 points.
I
which
swear
is,
to God, this is the last thing I want to talk about. But how many do they get more than? Do they get at least one or more than one Six Nations victory this year?
next year,
I
need to see the fixtures list to see what they got home and away.
So you're on the fence there.
I think 1.
Oh, you get the one. Who are they getting it against? Well, they got their one at Cardiff.
Right now, it looks like Wales, doesn't it?
Cardiff.
I think Wales have got a really shit draw as well. I seem to remember they're away to France and maybe Ireland. No, they played away at Ireland this year. So they have Ireland at home.
How did Cardiff play at home during?
Wales.
Cardiff. How do Wales play at home during the Six Nations? Because by God, they play at home like
There's
crap.
that plane again. What are you doing? You're just taking the piss now. For God's sake, land. What are you doing? You
It's just because it's the Air Force. Obviously, it's some sort
I guess
of
he's just
training.
learning to fly.
Maybe it's some bloke
Just learning some
to
night flying. You're just getting your night hours in.
Yeah, it's getting some night hours, and they were like, "Jim, you up to much tonight?" Nah, I was just gonna get a few hours around, just circle around Te Peninsula and Hobsonville, and that'll be it for me.
Yeah.
They're like,
Like,
co-pilots just up there, just
chilling.
watching a bit of Netflix.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because literally he's just going in a big circle.
Literally, it's the same angle every time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what was I asking? Okay, so
Wales.
Wales play like crap at home. Everybody
Yeah,
else,
they must have Italy away because they had Italy at home this year.
everybody talks about going to the Principality Stadium,
Being a fortress.
But going there and being like, it's the best stadium in the world to play. All the other teams get super excited about playing in front of those fans and playing in that stadium. The only team that doesn't get excited about it
Wales.
is the home team. You know, God. This is my favorite.
My kids still can't differentiate the fact that Wales, the country,
Isn't Wales
isn't a whale.
the mammal?
They still think it's a mammal. Yeah, like because there's so many teams because they don't know the difference between international and Super Rugby. They hear teams like the Sharks, the Lions, and they're just like, oh, the whales. How are the whales doing?
You know what my daughter does? The absolute little shite. She will support. If she is like, she's done this as soon as she could be cognizant of the fact I like sports, and I'm watching sports. She will always support the team that I'm against. Essentially. So she's always like,
Ireland. She's like, go Ireland.
Yeah. She'll go Ireland, go Australia, and I'll be like, why? And she's like, I just like them more. And I'll be like, why? And she's like, just do. They're better. I'm like, even like the Crusaders, she'll be like, go the Crusaders.
Oh no.
Just anyone that I am supporting, she'll go for the other side.
Oh.
She's a little shite. But she's exactly like me. She likes to stir shit.
Do you know who my son's favourite rugby team is?
I am going to say the JB8. Do they still have JB8s or JB7s? So it's an actual rugby.
It's an actual rugby team.
Can you tell me what part of the world they play?
It's a South African team.
The Stormers?
Yes, the Stormers. Good
Oh.
guess.
Why the
love the
Stormers?
His second favourite team is the Western Force.
They have a similar colour scheme?
Yeah, maybe.
Blue and white.
Just
don't
cool
they?
names, maybe.
Stormers.
He's like, the Blues are alright. Like, I asked him, I think last year for his Christmas, like, would you like a Blues jersey, son? And he's like, well, I'd really like a Stormers jersey. That's a car.
feel like we're under attack.
Yeah.
I remember getting into NRL very early on and just...
Who did you go for?
I really liked because of the Raiders. I was like, oh, Raiders.
Pre-Warriors, do you know who my team was?
Manly Warringah Seagulls.
But it is a bird.
Oh, who's the other bird team? The
Sydney team.
Sydney City Roosters.
There you go.
Yeah,
What? That's like the lamest animal.
Well, they got the eels, they got the roosters.
I think I like their colour scheme because it was like blue with
and
the red V.
They got the rabbits, the rabbitohs.
Rabbits, yeah.
So rabbits, roosters, and eels aren't really like, ah! You know?
Yeah.
They're not the most terrifying. And those are the three of the most dominant teams.
Yeah.
The old Balmain Tigers, which now
No, what happened to the Bears? The North Sydney Bears.
They're going.
North Sydney's, I think, is a bit. It's a bit poncy.
Daryl Halligan used to play for them.
Right. I see. I went to Sydney.
Yeah.
A few years ago now. I stayed with my brother's in-laws.
Yeah.
And they were living in North Sydney, and I was like, I can see why there's no league team here because it was real poncy.
Well, like the Roosters are a poncy area. Like,
Are they really?
Yeah.
Okay.
The eastern suburbs. And they...
I got the feeling from when my time in Sydney, the western suburbs should be where the league teams are
Well,
at.
that's Penrith. That's Parramatta.
Okay.
Yeah, and Penrith are the team on the up and up at the moment. But they're not on the up and up. They've just won 2 back to back. They're on top.
Right.
They're absolutely dominant.
Okay.
Right now. And they're probably going to win it next year as well. But one thing I was just about to say was, with all this crap going on with the Premiership in terms of
Teams getting cut.
Teams getting cut, NRL's gone through that.
Really?
You know, like Illawarra Seagulls, the Balmain Tigers aren't around anymore.
Illawarra Seagulls.
Illawarra Steelers aren't around, and there's a number of other teams.
Bears,
Yeah, the Bears.
Was it just financial?
I think there was financial, and then there was mergers.
Right.
So
because Illawarra merged with somebody else for a while, right?
Yeah, they have. So Illawarra and St. George.
Right.
Have...
They had a double barrel name for a while, but then they just went back to St. George, right?
Yeah, and also West's, the Magpies and Balmain Tigers.
Was there a team called the Magpies?
Yeah, I think called the Magpies.
That's Collingwood.
Yeah, same. They can also have Magpies.
They're a league team as well.
Yeah, they were black and white.
That was an AFL team.
I was about to look it up, but then we were going to get this situation again.
Yeah.
But yeah, and they've gone. And there were other like some real foundation clubs that were really historic. The South Sydney Rabbitohs were like this close to.
On the brink, and then Russell Crowe.
Russell Crowe kind of stepped in. And there were like these big protests and all sorts of things. So it's happened. They got through it. Like Wasps are they gone?
Wasps are gone and Worcester are gone.
It sucks. The Wasps are.
They've had some big name players, but they've won some trophies.
Well,
like Delalio used to play for them.
Gatlin was a coach.
They literally have some,
And that's it. Never to be there again. That'd be shite. That's your team.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I can't imagine that here because it wouldn't happen because New Zealand Rugby owns or runs the teams to a degree, right?
Yeah. I sometimes wonder how the bloody provinces stay afloat.
Oh, yeah, they definitely... I think we're really going on tangents, but I think New Zealand Rugby basically gets all the money from all the All Black stuff and just filters it down.
Yeah.
To a degree. To keep everyone afloat. There's no way any of those NPC teams make any money. Auckland at Eden Park, that's a loss. That's a loss all day.
Yeah, just open to the gates is going to cost you 20 grand.
Basically, yeah.
And
more.
nobody... Well, way more. But and nobody, it's a freaking focus group that turns up to the NPC games sometimes.
That's sad because it used to be massive when I was a kid.
Yeah, it was the biggest thing. It was the biggest thing outside a test match. And then like a Ranfurly Shield or an NPC final.
I remember going to see Auckland against King Country and it was huge.
Yeah.
On the terraces with my old man.
I mean, many games of the Battle of the Bridge. And it was manic. And like the people on the North Shore people would flood Eden Park. It'd be bigger.
That's telling us that we need to stop talking.
We had so many opportunities to finish it.
Well, there's no more. We're still recording, right?
We're still recording.
Guys, we got no more picture.
Wait a second. Hold on. So we're still recording on that. So we can finish it this way. And then I'll... Oh, God. All right. Oh, jeez, Louise. Okay, here we go. This is seamless.
Right, the camera just died.
We
needed to wrap this up ages ago.
We tried to wrap it up about half an hour ago, but we went on tangents for a long time. So, sorry about this slightly non-traditional finish the podcast. But thank you very much. And
if you stayed this far through, you're a champ.
You really are. And thanks for listening on Google Podcasts,
to Spotify,
iHeartRadio, wherever else you get your podcast. Leave us a review. It'd be nice to get a review. All right, haere ka kite.
Take care, folks.
See you later.
Oh, we can talk.